There is something I need to say to you before anything else happens in this reading. Not as a warm up, not as an introduction to something bigger coming later, as the thing itself, the central thing, the message that Spirit kept repeating the moment I sat down with your energy today until I understood that this was not background information, this was the entire point. Be still, not because nothing is happening, because everything is happening right now. Beneath the surface of what you can see and measure and confirm, something is moving. Something is organizing itself. Something that has been scattered and uncertain and unresolved is finding its shape. And the single most important thing you can do in this specific window of time is resist the impulse to intervene in that process before it completes itself. I know how hard that is for you. I know it because I'm sitting with your energy right now, and what I feel in it is not passivity. You are not someone who waits easily. You are not someone who sits comfortably in uncertainty when action feels available. You are someone who sees a problem and wants to solve it, who feels a tension and wants to resolve it, who senses that something is unfinished and reaches for the thing that will finish it. And that quality, that impulse toward resolution, toward clarity, toward making things definite, is one of your greatest strengths in most contexts. In this one, right now, it is the thing Spirit is asking you to pause, not permanently, not indefinitely, for this specific window. Because what is unfolding around you right now is not a problem to be solved. It is a process to be allowed. And the difference between those two things is everything. Before we go deeper, if something in you just exhaled when I said that, if something released in your chest at the idea of being given permission to stop pushing for a moment, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word stillness in the comments right now, because that is the energy that is going to carry you through what I'm about to describe. Not force, not strategy, not carefully calculated moves. Stillness, presence, the particular kind of trust that allows things to arrive without being chased. Let's go into the reading, because Spirit has something very specific to show you about why right now is not the time to move and what becomes possible when you don't. The first thing I'm seeing, the situation itself. Let me describe what I'm feeling around the situation you're in right now, because I want to be precise about it rather than general. And what I'm feeling is this specific quality of something that is suspended between two states, not stuck suspended, and those are completely different things. Stuck is when nothing is moving, when energy has stalled and the only way forward is to introduce new force from the outside. Stuck requires intervention. Stuck requires a push. Suspended is different. Suspended is when something is in the middle of its own movement, when a process is actively underway but hasn't reached its resolution yet, when the elements that need to come together are in the process of coming together but haven't fully arrived. Suspended requires patience. Suspended requires the wisdom to recognize that the movement is real even when it isn't yet visible. What you're in right now is suspended. And I need you to feel the difference between those two words in your body, because your nervous system may be interpreting the stillness as stuck, and that interpretation is creating an urgency that doesn't match the actual situation. Nothing is stuck, everything is moving. You just can't see all of it yet. What I'm seeing specifically, and this is coming through very clearly, is that there are elements in this situation that are outside of your direct control and that are in the process of resolving themselves in your favor. Decisions being made, feelings being processed, realizations arriving in someone else's experience that are going to change how they show up in yours. Circumstances shifting in the background in ways that will become visible to you soon, but that are not yet fully formed. And here is the critical thing, the thing I need you to really hear. Any move you make right now, any message sent, any conversation forced, any attempt to accelerate what is already moving at its own correct pace risks interrupting something that is in the process of becoming exactly what you want it to be. This is not a situation where your inaction is passive. Your stillness right now is an active choice. It is you trusting a process that deserves to be trusted. It is you getting out of the way of something that is working, that has been working quietly beneath the surface without your intervention. Let it work. The second thing I'm seeing what is actually happening beneath the surface. Now I want to show you what is moving in the layer you can't see. Because I think if you could see it, if you had full visibility into what is actually in progress right now, the waiting would feel completely different. It would feel less like suspension and more like anticipation, less like uncertainty and more like knowing. So let me give you that visibility. As much as I can see it, I'm going to show it to you. There is a person in this situation, and that person is in the middle of something internal that is significant, not a casual reconsideration, not a passing thought, a genuine reckoning with something that has been unresolved in them for a while, something that involves you, involves how they feel about you, involves what they want and whether they've been honest with themselves about it. That reckoning is underway right now in the private, unobservable interior of their own experience. And what I keep seeing when I tune into the energy of it is that it is moving toward a conclusion that you would choose for them if you could choose it yourself. They are getting clear on their own without being pushed or prompted or pressured. In the organic, internally driven way that clarity arrives when someone finally stops running from their own truth and lets it catch up to them. And here's why your stillness is so important right now, specifically. The clarity they are finding, the conclusion they are moving toward, is being reached because of the space you've created, because you have not been pressing, because you have not been filling every silence with something, because you have given their process room to complete itself without the noise of urgency or the pressure of expectation crowding it. Your restraint is part of what is making this possible. If you move now, if you reach in and try to force a conclusion before this process completes, you risk collapsing something that is in the middle of building. You risk introducing pressure at exactly the moment when the absence of pressure is what is allowing the truth to surface naturally. Stay still, let them arrive. For others of you, this isn't about a specific person, it's about a situation, a circumstance, a set of conditions that is in the process of aligning, a series of pieces that are finding their configuration. And the same principle applies. The configuration is in progress, the pieces are moving. So your job right now is not to rearrange them. It's to trust that they are finding their right places and to remain present and ready for when they do. The third thing I'm seeing why you want to move and why you shouldn't. I want to speak directly to the impulse, the specific feeling that keeps arising and telling you that you should do something, say something, make something happen, bring things to a head. Create clarity by force rather than by waiting for it to arrive. I feel that impulse in your energy very clearly, and I want to honor it before I ask you to set it down. That impulse comes from a real place. It comes from the exhaustion of not knowing, from the specific kind of tired that accumulates when you've been in uncertainty long enough that the uncertainty itself starts to feel like the problem. Like if you could just get a definitive answer, even a hard one, even a no, that would be better than this suspended not quite knowing. I understand that feeling completely, and I want to say clearly that it makes sense, that wanting resolution is not impatience, that needing things to be clear is not a character flaw, that the desire to stop waiting and just know is entirely human and entirely reasonable. And Spirit is asking you to wait a little longer. Not forever, not for an indefinite, open ended, no timeline kind of waiting, for a specific window, a short one. A window during which what has been unclear is in the active process of becoming clear, not because you forced it, but because it has finally reached the point where it can no longer stay unclear. The clarity is coming on its own, through its own process. And it is going to arrive in a form that is so much more complete, so much more real, so much more usable than anything that could have been extracted by pressure, that the waiting will feel justified the moment it lands. Here is the specific risk I'm seeing if you move before this window closes. Whatever you do, whatever message you send, whatever conversation you initiate, whatever move you make will become the thing that the other person or the situation responds to, rather than what was already in motion, rather than the organic conclusion that was already forming. You will have introduced a new variable that requires a response, rather than allowing the existing process to produce its natural result. And the natural result is better. It is more complete. It carries more weight. It means more to you, to them, to the situation than anything that arrives as a reaction to something you did. Let the natural result come. The fourth thing, I'm seeing what naturally unfolding actually looks like. I want to show you what this looks like in practice, what the natural unfolding I keep describing actually produces in your real life over the coming period. Because I think sometimes when we talk about things unfolding naturally, it sounds passive. It sounds like sitting with your hands in your lap, waiting for the universe to deliver something while you have no experience of movement or progress. And that is not what I'm describing. What I'm describing looks like this: a conversation that you didn't initiate arrives, someone reaches out, someone says something they've been holding, someone makes a move. The move, the specific one you've been wondering if they would ever make, not because you created the conditions for it through strategy or action, but because the conditions created themselves, because the timing finally aligned, because whatever they needed to process or resolve or arrive at internally finally completed itself, and now they are ready to bring it to you. And when that conversation arrives, when that move is made, it will have a quality that is completely different from anything that could have been produced by pressure. It will have the quality of something freely chosen, arrived at without coercion, offered because it is true, and the person offering it has finally become unable to keep it to themselves. That quality matters enormously because you will feel it in the way it lands, in the weight of it, in the particular texture of something that is real versus something that was extracted. You will know the difference immediately. And what's coming has that quality, the real quality, the freely chosen, arrived at organically. I finally couldn't not say this quality that makes what is said or done actually mean something. On the circumstantial side, for those of you where this is more about a situation than a specific person, what naturally unfolding looks like is a series of small shifts that compound, a door opening that you didn't knock on, information arriving that changes what you thought was possible, a path becoming visible that wasn't visible before, not because you found it, but because the conditions finally cleared enough for you to see it, was always there. These things are in motion. They are not far. They are in the specific kind of proximity that makes waiting not a passive endurance, but an active, intentional choice to trust what is already working. The fifth thing, I'm seeing who you are in this waiting. I want to speak to something about your character that this moment is revealing, because I think you are so focused on the situation, on what is or isn't happening, on what you should or shouldn't do, that you are missing something important about what this period is showing about you. The ability to be still when every instinct says move is not a small thing. It requires a specific kind of trust. Trust in a process you can't fully see, trust in an outcome you can't fully guarantee, trust in your own reading of a situation, your sense that something real is happening beneath the surface, even when the surface looks unchanged. That kind of trust is earned. It doesn't come easily to people who've been let down before. It doesn't come naturally to people who've learned that waiting sometimes just means losing. And yet here you are, choosing it, feeling the pull toward action, and sitting with it instead of following it, knowing that something is in motion and resisting the urge to put your hands on it. That is wisdom operating in real time. That is discernment applied to the most difficult possible context, the one that involves your own desire and your own uncertainty and your own very understandable wish for things to just be clear already. Spirit is not asking you to wait because waiting is good for its own sake. Spirit is asking you to wait because you, specifically you, with your specific situation and your specific energy and the specific thing that is in motion around you right now, are days away from not having to wait anymore. Days, not months, not an indefinite stretch of more of the same. A short, specific window after which the natural unfolding I've been describing produces something visible, something real, something you can actually hold in your hands rather than simply feel at the edges of your awareness. Days, what I need you to do right now, one instruction, just one. Because this reading doesn't need a list, it needs a single clear directive that you can carry with you into every moment between now and when what I've described arrives. Trust the process more than you trust your fear. That's it. That's the whole instruction. When the fear says nothing is happening, trust the process. When the fear says you should say something, trust the process. When the fear says the silence means what you're afraid it means, trust the process. When the impatience rises and tells you that waiting is losing, trust the process. Because the process is working right now in ways you can't fully see yet, but that are completely undeniably real. What is moving toward you is real. What is building beneath the surface is real. What is about to arrive, the natural conclusion of something that has been in motion far longer than you know is real. And it will reach you, not because you forced it, because you were wise enough to let it find you. Don't make any moves, Virgo. Don't make any promises. Not yet. Because what is coming on its own is so much better than anything you could manufacture. And it is almost here. Come back and tell me in the comments what shifted while you were watching. Tell me what you've been wanting to force that you're now going to allow. Tell me what landed, because your words are what this work is for. Subscribe to stay in the energy, and I will see you when the next thing moves.